What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of the Real Housewives of New Jersey season finale. So instead of going scene by scene as far as what happened in the episode, I just want to give a very generalized opinion and overall thoughts and opinions on this season. And I'm going to do it person by person. So let's start off with Jackie. Now, Jackie, the one thing that really impressed me, well, two things that impressed me about Jackie this season was I really admired her marriage. Her and Evan seem to be going very, very strong. Their marriage appears to be very solid. I didn't see any, issues, any red flags. And I was really impressed with how good they are together. And the other thing that really impressed me about Jackie is her talking about her anorexia. I thought that was very eye-opening. I thought it was a subject that needed to be discussed because normally we always hear about, women struggling with losing weight. And she was showing us the other side of body image issues, weight issues, etc. So that was really interesting to see. And you can tell how hard it was for her to get on the road to recovery. You can tell that she really, really struggles with it. It's very, 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 very hard for her to try to eat like what they would say a normal person, whatever that is. So that was eye-opening to see. It was very educational. I totally sympathized with her, and I just want her to recover and to get better. And I understand that there will never be a time where she is fully recovered. She will never be like completely okay to eat like a normal person. She's always going to have to struggle. She's always going to have to consciously make the decision to eat more healthy. So this is something that's going to stay with her probably for the rest of her life. But the good thing is she's aware that she has a problem and she is trying to fix it, and she understands the consequences if she doesn't fix it. So I totally admired Jackie this season. What I also admired about Jackie, I guess there's three things that impressed me about her. What I also admired about Jackie is that even though Teresa went after her marriage last season, Jackie didn't have this she didn't go after Teresa's marriage as far as constantly talking about Louie, bringing up internet rumors like the way Margaret did. She didn't do that. Now, she did co-sign with Margaret. She did agree with Margaret. She was on Margaret's side the whole entire season, and I had no issues with that because for the most part between Teresa and Margaret, I agree with Margaret. I side with Margaret. So I had no issues with that, but she could have gone really, really hard with Teresa for what Teresa put her through last year, so I was glad that Jackie decided to just kind of watch from the sidelines and let Jackie and Marge duke it out. So as far as Jackie, I liked her this season. She impressed me this season, and if she comes back, I have no issues. Moving on to Dolores and Frank. I will always love Dolores. Dolores will always get my vote. I do have an issue with how she's such a diehard for Teresa, but because of the fact that I understand how close they are, that they're practically family, I can give her a pass. And I think her relationship with Frank Catania is very interesting, how they've remained friends. And I know that it took them a long, long, long time to get to this point where they can get along and they can be friendly. But I like Dolores. I enjoy Dolores. I know that she's Team Teresa to the day she dies, and that's okay. I'll give her that. That just shows her true loyalty. She is really a very loyal friend. And I liked how when she made a mistake or when she was in the wrong, she completely owned up to it. She doesn't shy away from admitting that she's wrong. She apologizes when she needs to apologize. So I think that she's awesome. I love Dolores. And I like Dolores a lot also because I like how she brings Frank into the scene because I love Frank. I think Frank is great. So the fact that, we get Frank with Dolores to me is just, the icing on the cake. I hope that her mother does recover. I hope her mother makes a very speedy recovery. Obviously, it was really good to see how much she cares about her family, how much she cared about her mom, and how she was really there for her mother. Her relationship with David was weird. I thought it was weird when they were dating, and it got even more weird when they broke up because of the fact that he remained so close to her family, but he didn't want to have anything to do with Dolores. So I thought that was really strange. Dolores is such a great girl. I don't understand why she can't find true love. Let me finish that sentence before I move on to say maybe it's because she's strongly independent. And when a man gets with Dolores, you're going to have to go by Dolores's rules, and there's no other way. Dolores is not a pushover. She's not going to just fall into, a man's arms and be like, oh, take care of me and all of that. So she's fiercely independent. And when you get Dolores, you get Frank. And so, I don't know. I love Dolores, and I want her to, if she's looking for love, not everybody needs to be in a relationship. A relationship is not the end all and be all of life. But if she's looking for love, I hope she does find it with the right guy. I never thought that David was the right guy for her. And I hope that he treats her better, because if you are going to still be friends with her family and her ex-husband, you need to also acknowledge and respect the almighty Dolores. And, don't ignore her. Don't shun her. Give her the respect that she deserves. So, Team Dolores all the way. I love her. I'm glad that she's been on the show as long as she has been, and I want her to come back. Plus, her body was banging. Dolores's body is 10 out of 10. I don't know what I know what she does. Whatever she's doing, right now, she's perfect. No more surgeries, Dolores. No more surgeries. Right now, you're an absolute 10. Don't do another thing to your face or to your body. You've got it going on. So, yeah, I enjoy Dolores. I need to see her again next season. Melissa and Joe, boring as hell. I like Joe. I love Joe Giudice. Melissa, I don't have anything against Melissa, but I don't have anything passionately for Melissa. I think Melissa, usually Melissa's got stuff going on. Like, she was trying to be a singer in one season, then she was doing her boutique another season. This season, she didn't have, I'm not saying she's not doing anything else. They didn't showcase a lot of Melissa outside of her being, a supporting character in the life of Teresa. So other than that, she didn't have a lot going on. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit like, I can take her or leave her. Her relationship with Joe seems to be, doing fine. They didn't have any fake drama or fake controversy like they did last year to be relevant. Melissa, I guess if you're going to stay on the show, the only type of relevancy that you have is to be there to support your husband supporting his sister. Not much was going on with her. I didn't care about her daughter. I know this is going to sound horrible. I really didn't care if her daughter cheered or not. I was kind of hoping that her daughter wouldn't choose to cheer, just so that, Melissa could let her daughter do what she wants to do, because I felt like she was really pressuring her daughter to go back to cheer. And I think at the end of the day, her daughter did what she herself wanted to do, and she wanted to go back into cheering. But I wouldn't have been mad at all if her daughter decided to, leave cheer completely alone, and then Melissa would just have to deal with it. I just didn't like how she constantly was pressuring her daughter to get back into it, and she was freaking out when her daughter didn't have an interest in it. It's okay, maybe she just lost interest in it. It doesn't mean that she's falling into a deep depression because she doesn't want to cheer. But she ended up cheering anyway. Melissa's happy, the daughter's happy. I have to be happy about it. So one thing that I can say about Melissa that I do like, I like the fact that she was basically neutral. You can tell that she was leaning a little bit more towards Margaret, but for the most part, she stayed neutral. But I think that, if she could really be her true self, she would be Team Margaret all the way. I don't think Melissa and Teresa would ever be friends in real life if it wasn't for the fact that they were related. If they didn't have Joe Gorga to connect them, I don't think that they'd be hanging out or that they'd be friends. I liked how Melissa was, she calls Teresa out. She lets Teresa know when she's in the wrong. She's not one of those Teresa coddlers all the way. She does coddle her a little tiny bit, because I think there was at one point when they were in Nashville, after Teresa had shoved everything all over Margaret. I think there was a scene where Melissa was like, oh, I wonder how, what kind of mood Teresa's going to be in today. I think there was one scene like that. So she's kind of, she's one of those people, like, she's always like, she has to gauge, like a weatherman who's trying to gauge the weather. Is it going to rain today? Is it going to be sunny today? Melissa's kind of like that with Teresa. What kind of, is Teresa going to be happy today? Is she going to be mad today? What kind of Teresa are we going to be dealing with today? She's kind of like that, and I could do without that. She needs to stop that. It doesn't matter what type of mood Teresa's going to be in. You do what you got to do and how you want to do it. Don't let Teresa dictate how your day is going to go. So that's the one issue that I had with Melissa. But I did like the fact that she was neutral, and I also like the fact that a lot of the time she was leaning towards Margaret. So that's all I really have to say about Melissa and Joe. They didn't have much going on other than, like I said, being the supporting characters of the Teresa life. Now, let's move on to Margaret and Joe. Margaret and Joe, them as a couple, everything was fine there. I didn't see any red flags. I didn't see any issues with the relationship. It's been how it's always been. Margaret herself. Now, I like Margaret. I like Margaret a lot. She is definitely one of my favorites because she stands up to Teresa, and she doesn't give a damn about Teresa's moods. She doesn't care. She says what she wants to say to Teresa, and it's up to Teresa how she's going to receive it. So I like that about Margaret. She's a very strong-willed person. She speaks her mind. She's very articulate. She doesn't mince her words at all. You know exactly where Margaret is coming from. And I love her accent. And did I feel like she went on the Louie thing a little bit too hard, a little bit too strong? Honestly, I don't think so. Because I don't think she did. I think that, like, what's her name said, was it Jackie? I think it was Jackie that said it in the finale when she said Margaret was saying to Teresa's face what we were all saying behind her back. So she had the guts to bring that up to the forefront because everybody was talking about it. Everybody on the show. Everybody was talking about it. And so she had the guts to bring it up on camera in front of Teresa's face. And maybe I do feel like she came on too strong with it. I kind of feel like once you brought it up once, Margaret, when you mentioned it once, and I think it was at the pool party. I think it was at Jennifer's pool when they went out to the Jersey Shore and they were all sitting outside in the backyard. And that's when I think, it was kind of like, let's talk about Louie, tell us what's really going on here. I think that once they had that conversation there, it should never have been mentioned again. And I don't think she mentioned it again after that. I don't think she brought it up to Teresa after that. I think that was the last time that it was discussed in a group setting. I feel like, so when her and Teresa had their one-on-one confrontation in the finale, and when Teresa told Margaret, well, if you were so concerned about me and Louie, why didn't you pull me to the side and talk to me about it? And Margaret said, I did do that, but obviously it didn't go well. So for Teresa to say that, Teresa, you were not going to receive anything negative that she had to say about your boyfriend. So I don't even know why you said that. But I was going to say, it would have been better if Margaret had pulled Teresa to the side and said, look, this is what's out there. This is what you're going to have to do or whatever. Talk to her one-on-one instead of in a group setting. But she says she did it. I don't really remember exactly when she did it, but she said that she did it. If she did it, great. That's what she was supposed to do. I don't think Margaret did anything really wrong. Now, like everybody else was telling her, just don't talk about Louie anymore. You said what you had to say. She didn't like it. She doesn't want to talk about it. Louie doesn't want to talk about it. Let it go. That's it. When she told Teresa in the finale that what y'all should have done was y'all should have been ahead of the story. So you should have brought this out before anyone else talked about it. Louie should have addressed it. He should have said A, B, C, D. She gave a script of what Louie should have said. Hey, I've done some stuff in the past. You may hear some things from my exes. It is what it is. I did wrong. They did wrong. We all learn from our mistakes. But because I've learned from my mistakes, I'm going to treat Teresa a whole lot better than I've ever treated any female in my life because I truly love her. Whatever the script was going to be. So Margaret said that that's what they should have done. Now, Margaret said, y'all ran from the story. And the more y'all ran from it and the more that y'all ignored it, y'all are the ones that brought more attention to it. Now, this is what I have to say. Margaret, You can't dictate to other people how you want them to react to something. You went ahead of your story because she brought that up as an example. I went ahead of my own story. When I first came on the show, I was above the story, or I was ahead of my story, meaning that she brought out all of her skeletons that were hiding in her closet before anybody else could. So she talked about her infidelity. She talked about how she slept her way to the top. She talked about this. She talked about that, blah, blah, blah. She let it all out there so that nobody could bring it back to attack her, cannot use her own life to attack her with it. So, Margaret, that's how you handle it, and you handle it really well, and that really worked for you. But that doesn't mean that's how other people should handle their mess. Teresa and Louie are going to do what Teresa and Louie are going to do. You know your girl Teresa. Teresa is not the kind of person to talk about the negative things that are going on in her life. She wants everybody to believe that her life is perfect. She wants everybody to believe that she's truly happy, that there's nothing wrong with her relationships. Even with Joe Giudice, it was like that. Joe Giudice treated her like an absolute dog. But to hear Teresa tell it, this was the best husband ever. He was a great provider. He was this, he was that. He was so good to her. When they would have the reunions and the other women would bring out, oh, Teresa, remember when you told me that you caught your husband in his office with the secretary bent over his desk? Remember when you told me that, Teresa? Teresa denied. I never told you that. I never said that. So she's always going to put up a picture that everything is rosy, everything is perfect, everything is wonderful. So Margaret, that's how she is. So she's not going to voluntarily bring up the skeletons in her closet. It's not going to happen. So you brought it up one time, and you should have left it at that, Margaret, because after that, Teresa knows what's out there in the blogs, and if she did know, you shed light on her, you shed light on it, so then that gave her the opportunity to either go read the stuff herself or ignore it, but she dealt with it the way she wanted to deal with it. So Margaret, you really did not have the right to tell her this is what you should have done. Everybody handles things differently. However she handled it, whether it was confronting it or running away from it, she did what she wanted to do, what was best for her, and you should have left it at that, and that was it. But Teresa reacted way excessively to Margaret bringing it up. Teresa completely overreacted and went completely over the top. Margaret, to me, and another thing about Margaret, everybody was telling Margaret, you need to own up with what you did. Definitely Jennifer was telling her that, and then Dolores was telling her that, and Melissa told her that. You need to take accountability for what you did. And I think they're referring to the fact that she even brought up the whole Louie stuff, that she brought that up to Teresa, and I guess because she brought it up again, she was constantly talking about it, and it was constantly making Teresa upset. So she needed to own up to that. I don't think it was necessarily wrong. Was it aggravating? Was it annoying to always bring it up? Probably. But I don't see it as being wrong because the information was out there. Now, what Margaret did that was wrong was when she talked about Jennifer's husband's affair. That's was wrong because Jennifer never gave, that's not something that was out there in the blogs. I don't think it was. I never heard of it until it was on the show. I have no idea. It appears like it was never talked about in public. So for Margaret to bring up Nabil's affair, that is something that I have to take, a point away from Margaret. That was absolutely categorically wrong for her to do. And then for her to try to backpedal and act like, that it really wasn't that big of a deal because everybody, they all knew about it, or because, why would Jennifer feel bad that Margaret talked about the affair when it was Nabil that did this and he's the one that needs to take account of. Girl, you're not here to judge their marriage, how they need to handle this affair between the two of them as a couple. Margaret, that's not what you're here for. It was wrong for you to bring up Nabil's affair, so that was absolutely wrong. So but as far as her and Teresa, I don't think she did anything wrong. When they were telling her in the finale, go apologize. I think it was Jennifer that told her, well, go apologize to her. Tell her that, you shouldn't have did what you did, and go say sorry to her. And then Stacy or Tracy, she was like, no, she doesn't have to apologize for being a good friend and looking out for her. Now, did Margaret really bring up the whole Louie stuff because she was trying to be a good friend to Teresa? I don't think so. I don't think she did it out of that. I don't think she did it because she was, I don't know, but I don't think she did it to be vicious either. I don't know why she did it. Because It's like, Teresa is not going to dwell on it. She's not going to break up with her man. So I don't know why she brought it up. I think she brought it up maybe because she really has a disdain for Louie, and Teresa was just she was just what's the word I'm looking for? A casualty to what however Margaret felt. Collateral damage. Teresa was just collateral damage to how Margaret felt about Louie. Maybe Margaret felt a certain kind of way towards Louie, and she wanted to expose Louie, and then Teresa just ended up being collateral damage. Maybe that's what it was. I don't think that she was out to get Teresa. I don't think that she brought this up. I don't think it had anything to do with Teresa. I think she just really felt something about Louie and wanted to expose Louie for being an abuser. I think Margaret, her fashion choice was a little questionable, but she looked great at her mother's 75th birthday party. She looked absolutely amazing there. And one of her confessional looks was also really hot. But sometimes, or most of the time, her fashion choices were a little bit odd. So Margaret, to me, I had no issues with her this season. I thought she was great. She needs to come back. Yeah, I like Margaret. No issues with her. Teresa and Louie. Teresa will always be Teresa. You just have to take it for what it is. Teresa will always be Teresa. Teresa will never, ever, ever, ever change. She's about to be 50 years old, or she is 50 years old. This is the Teresa that we have to just deal with. She will never change. There are times, and thank God more often than not, there are times when my heart goes out to Teresa, because sometimes I really do feel bad for her. I really feel sorry for her because of all that she went through with her husband, with that horrible marriage, with her parents passing away, with her having to go to jail, trying to keep her family together, trying to be there for her girls, when their father was in jail, when their father was deported, doing the best that she can and doing a damn good job at it. As crazy as Teresa and Joe Giudice are as a couple, they did a good job with those girls, because I don't hear a lot of controversy about those girls at all. And they're at that age where they can get themselves into some mess. But Gia is like doing awesome. She's a great example to her sisters. She is so intelligent. She's just, an all-around really great young lady. So they did a great job raising her, and all the other girls seem to be following in Gia's footsteps. So Teresa is Teresa. She's crazy. She's over the top. Obviously her, shoving all the food and drinks on Margaret like that was 1,000% wrong. She needs to check her anger. She really needs to check her anger, and she needs to check how she reacts. She needs to understand that there's never an excuse, Teresa. Never ever an excuse for you to react with violence. There's never an excuse for that. Your words are very cutting. You like to use certain language to people that I find extremely offensive myself, that I would never repeat, that I would never call anyone unless, I truly hated that person. And there's no one on earth that I truly hate to the point where I would call them some of the names that you've called Margaret. So you need to check that. Your anger it seems to be a little bit explosive towards a lot of the females on this cast. Someone said that they were afraid of Teresa. Was it Margaret? Somebody said no, it was Jackie. Jackie was like, I'm afraid of her. And I believe it. I totally believe it, because Teresa can really go off the handle. She needs to check her temper. She needs to check her anger. Even if they're talking about your kids, you never react the way that you react. When someone is attacking you or attacking your family, that's a them problem. It's not a you problem. That's their issues to deal with. If you want to talk about my kids, you want to talk about my husband, that's your problem. I have nothing to do with that, because I know my people and I don't have a problem with them. So if you have a problem with them, that's a you problem. And so you need to learn how to control yourself. I said that over and over and over again. So how she treated Margaret this season was over the top. Like I said before, if you feel like what she was saying was wrong, walk away. Don't argue with her. Don't give it any light. Just say, okay, you read what you read on the internet, girl. You saw what you saw on the blogs. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you, but me and my man, we're happy. I'm going to stay with him. I'm sorry. I don't know what you want me to do about it. Okay. So you read that he used to do this, this, and that. Okay, fine, whatever. He's treating me good. That's all I care about. And then just leave it alone. Or if she keeps at it, like I said, sue her for defamation. Fight it out in the courts, not in the streets, Teresa. You're not an alley cat. You're a civilized human being. So that issue with how she treated Margaret, didn't like it. She gets a big fat F from me on that. Her and Louie's relationship. Now, before I go there, let me talk about Louie. Louie, you have issues. Louie, you have serious issues. You also have a temper problem. Your anger, I know that for a lot of the scenes, you were always walking away or not showing up. But this finale, it showed that you have an issue as well. You have a major issue. I tend to believe the stories about him being abusive to his exes. I do think that there is some type of credibility there. Number one, the fact that they didn't want to talk about it at all. The fact that he never wanted to address it. If somebody accused me of, let's say somebody accused me of being abusive towards whoever, and I wasn't that way, I'm going to say that on camera, off camera. I'm going to say, I didn't do that. That's not me. I don't do those things. I would never put my hands on anyone. I'm not going to just, the topic is brought up. Hey, Cookie, the blogs are saying that you did ABCD. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm done, and then walk away. No, I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to say, that's not true. I didn't do that. I'm not going to run away or choose not to show up because, oh my God, they're going to bring up my past. I would only do that if there was some type of validity in what they were saying. And that denying it is not going to work because the truth is going to come out eventually. So I have a tendency to kind of believe the exes over Louie. Obviously, I will never know. Little old me over here will never know what really went down. But if someone is going to ask me, who do you believe, the exes or Louie? I'm going to probably kind of side to the exes because all these women cannot be wrong. Just like with the whole Cosby situation and all these other celebrities, all of these people coming out, they can't all be wrong. And another issue that I have with Louie is that the way, whenever he talks about his exes, the first thing he says about them is that they're thirsty. They're clout chasers, desperate for attention. What does he say? He's always referring to them as being really, really thirsty. When Joe Gorga, when he pulled Joe Gorga to the side in the finale and he wanted to talk to Joe one-on-one, and he talked about how he wanted to, propose to Teresa, take her to Europe and propose to her. And, Joe was like, okay, before I say yes or no to that, I need to know what's up with your history, your past. Joe was like, I never really got on board with the whole bash Louie thing. I just kind of, kept my distance and just kind of watch it all play out. But now that we're sitting here one-on-one, you want to talk about marrying my sister, what's tea on that, on your past, on all of these rumors, these allegations? The first thing out of his mouth was, they're thirsty. These crazy exes of mine, they're all thirsty. They're desperate. That's what he says. They're low life. He says that these desperate, thirsty, low life exes. And it's like, for you to attack them like that, there has to be truth in what they're saying. Otherwise, you wouldn't be going, why would they all get together to say that you did these things to them? What are they gaining from that? What are they getting from that? For them to say that, what are they gaining from that? If they're getting paid money for their stories, this money isn't going to last, their whole entire lives. It's not like these blogs are paying them, tens of millions of dollars, if they are getting paid at all, which I kind of doubt. So what do they have to gain from saying these things about you? And another thing about Louie that bothered me was when he had talked about how one of his exes, because it was like story after story was coming out. And I say story after story based on what they were saying on the show. Not because I'll look this stuff up, because I don't. What they were saying on the show. Story after story after story is coming out. Once this person comes out, next thing you know, another day, another person comes out and says something about you. And Louie, when he responded with, well, let me tell you about that particular ex. Do you know she actually pulled a knife on her ex-husband? So the way he said that, the way he brought that, number one, I kind of don't believe it. The way he brought that up, it was kind of like he was trying to justify why he would have put his hands on her. Like, hey, She pulled a knife on her ex-husband. That's the kind of person she was. Kind of like, that's the reason why I had to do what I had to do, because look what she did to her ex-husband. She pulled a knife on him. Like, she blamed the victim. Like, because she did this really crazy thing to her ex, maybe he's trying to justify why he did what he did to her, because was she coming after you with a knife, or because she hit you, you felt like, oh my gosh, she pulled a knife on her husband, on her ex-husband, so I have to cold knock her out. Like, why do you automatically want to paint your exes in a really bad light? You know, if it's not true that you hit them, just say, no, I didn't do it. Instead of, let me tell you what they did. Let me tell you what they're all about. Why? It's like you're trying to show reason or give justification of why you did what you did. If someone said, okay, Cookie, we heard that you used to constantly abuse this particular ex of yours. You're always hitting them. My first reaction would not be, well, let me tell you about that fool. I wouldn't say that. I would be like, no, I didn't do it. I don't care what kind of person he is. I don't care what he did to his exes. I didn't do it. I'm more concerned about protecting my reputation versus trying to dirty up or sully someone else's reputation. But anyways, yeah, so Louie, to me, he's very fishy. I think he's the clout chaser. I think he's the one that's thirsty. I think he's with Teresa. I think he's an opportunist. I think he's with Teresa for her money, for her wealth. Also, when at the end of the finale, when he was like, come on, Teresa, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. And he starts talking about, let's go back to our 50,000 square foot home, and, in our private jets and all of this, showing off all the luxury items that they own. That was so tacky, and it made him look just so awful, nasty, disgusting, the way he did that. Kind of like, let's not waste our time anymore with these peasants. Let's go enjoy our rich, lavish lifestyle. Let's get out of here. You didn't work for that. Whatever mansion, whatever Teresa has, it wasn't coming off of your dime. This is stuff that she has accumulated throughout the years with Joe Giudice and whatever else she was doing. This is not off of this did not come from this sweat off of your back. So stop it, Louie. That was just disgusting. And then when he said to Teresa, because Teresa brought up to him, because Margaret brought up to Teresa how, he had mentioned that there was an ex who pulled a knife on their ex. Margaret mentioned that to Teresa. So then when she was with Louie, she brought it up to Louie. She was like, hey, what about, and she was like really talking really low, like really soft. And she was like, oh, what about, what they were saying about your ex pulling a knife on her ex-husband. And then at that point, Louie was like, come on, let's get out of here. I don't have to audition for Margaret. Why don't you just say what it is? Yeah, that woman was really, why are you constantly running away from these stories? So that was a story that you brought up yourself. It came out of your mouth. Your girlfriend is asking you about it. And you're just like, I don't have to audition for Margaret. Let's go back to our 50,000 square foot mansion and our private jets. Awful, awful. I think he did abuse his exes because he has a bad temper. I do worry about Teresa, but Teresa will never let us know what's really going on because she will defend Louie to the very end until she can't defend him anymore, just like she did with Joe Giudice. Another thing that I want to say about Teresa, like most people, will have a type. There's a certain type that we all go for, that we're all attracted to. You like what you like. And she seems to like these kind of men who are very controlling, very chauvinistic. These men who are, they come across as really, really charming, but they're really hiding a monster inside. I don't know why she likes that type of man, because he reminds me of Joe Giudice. Like, he is very much like trying to mind control. Like, they can't let their women just be themselves. They have to like mind control them. So when he said to her, Margaret is just jealous of you. She's dying to be in your position. That's to me, that's like a typical abuser reaction, or what an abuser would say. Like, for example, let's say that, a woman is dating a man who is abusive. It could be physical, mental, or emotional, or all three. And she'll come to yeah, he's abusive, he cheats on her, he's abusive towards her, like just a real scum. And like her friends are constantly trying to tell her, you need to leave him, you need to leave him, he's not good for you. And by the way, you know, we see him out on the town with all these different women all the time. And so she comes to her man and she's like, hey, you know, there's these rumors out there about you, that you're doing this and you're doing that. And then a typical abuser would say, they're just jealous. They're just jealous of you. Your friends are jealous of you. They're dying to be in your position. To kind of like separate her from her friends so she could be like, oh, my friends are jealous of me, so I can't be around them anymore. They just that's why they're saying what they're saying. They're not saying it out of love. They're not saying it because they're worried about me. They're saying these things about my man because they're just jealous. That's an abuser. They're trying to twist your mind to kind of, so anytime that anybody says anything bad about your man, they're just jealous. They're just jealous. And that's how he is. So good luck, Teresa. Oh, and another thing, I'm just going on and on and on. And another thing, when Louie asked Joe Gorga for his sister's hand in marriage, and Joe Gorga basically gave his blessings, I was like, Joe, you are feeding your sister to the lion's den. But I understand. I get it. Teresa's going to do what Teresa's going to do. You can't stop her. If she wants to be with that man, she's going to be with that man. If for nothing else, she's going to be with them to prove everybody else wrong. So, but you're feeding your sister to the lion's den. I know you can't stop her because if he tries to stop her, if he didn't give his blessings, he's going to lose his sister. And he doesn't want to do that because he has to be there for her. Joe Gorga is Teresa's only protector. That's all she has left is him. So he can't risk losing his relationship with her because he needs to be there for her. When it all comes falling down around her again with Louie, like it did with Giudice, it's going to be only her brother there, you know, to pick up the pieces for her. So he has to stay close to her. He has to keep her in his life. He cannot risk losing that relationship. So he's going to give his blessings, but I'm pretty sure Joe Gorga is going to have his good eye on Louie. But because of what happened with Joe Giudice and him being overly involved with their marriage back then, and I understand that Joe Gorga is going to take like, you know, a hands-off approach with this marriage. He's going to be like, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not giving my opinion on nothing because you and your girls are going to come after me. And like what a horrible person I am for talking about your husband. So I'm just going to lay back. You do what you got to do. If you need me, I'm here. And I think that's what he has to do. So he gave his blessings, but we'll see how it all works out. Good luck to Teresa. It was an okay season. It was a very Louie heavy, but it is what it is. No one had nothing going on except for Jackie and her eating disorder. Dolores dealing with her mother. And I didn't care about her houses. And of course, it was a Teresa and Louie show. But yeah, it was an all in all good season. I can't wait for the reunion. I need to get out of here because I know I've bored y'all long enough. Thank you so much if you made it this far. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. Subscribe if you like this content. If you don't, it's okay. Thank you for stopping by. And I will talk to you later. Bye.